That's different. I really like that. Peychauds or Peychauds or Peychaud.
Yeah, now I'm gorgeous. Although probably fuzzier was better.
Okay. So this is not what I expected. Hey, it's Thirsty Thursday, and here we are, and I'm trying to find out how this thing opens up. I was actually trying to get ahead of the game for once and open it before we started. And oh, there it is right there. Oh, I got to do the phone thing too. No, I'll try it over here. I'll try it over on the book of face. There we go. Hey Tom, how you doing? Yo, bro. All right, so this is the well. Let me get back a little bit. I was at a liquor store, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago in the area, and I was looking for the new Four Roses OHLQ. Of course, they didn't have it. It flew off the shelves. No chance for me to have any of it. But anyway, I was looking for that, and a guy walked in there, older than me, glasses, really nice haircut. Looked like a successful dude, and he's looking for something. I said, well, what can I help you find? I don't work there, but that's what I do. I do that everywhere. What can I help you find? And he says, well, I'm looking for Brothers Bond. I had it a while back, and I really, really liked it. Oh, all right. So I put on the eyeballs and walked down the aisle a little bit, and I said, is this the one you're looking for? And he said, yeah, that's it. I didn't think they'd have it, and they did. And they had some other ones that I'd been looking for too, so it was kind of cool to go in there and try something different and try something new. I found this one, the Brothers Bond, and it was recommended to me, and it's only 80 proof, so it fits in nicely with our October theme, which is Sober October, not going overboard. I will not tell you that I have been completely successful this month. But, let's see, last Thursday we did the Crown Peach. I've had 2 drinks since then. And they were all, let me think about this a minute. It was 80 proof. It was Jim Beam, 80 proof. Sometimes you just got to put a little alcohol in your blood. But I will tell you, I think that I'm feeling my blood pressure go down. My anxiety's going down. I'm drinking less, and when I do drink, I don't drink very much, and it's all 80 proof. This is 80 proof. Let's get it poured and get it breathing. We're not going to do the ice test tonight. It's only 80 proof, and, I'll save my ice spheres for something that can survive 80 proof. So, let me give you a little information about this one. It's kind of interesting. Brothers Bond is a sourced straight bourbon whiskey, and don't 100% know from where. It says on the bottle, distilled in Indiana, so I'm thinking MGP. Of course, it could also be Heaven Hill or Dickel or who knows what, no idea. It is a 3-mash blend of a 4-grain mash bill, 65% corn, 22% rye, undisclosed amounts of wheat and malted barley, 80 proof. They use a copper column and copper pot doubleizer or doubler distillation method, then age it for a minimum of 4 years. 4 years, that's good. In virgin American oak barrels with a deep char number 4 on the staves, that's the inside of the barrel, and a number 2 char on the lids, right, on the barrel ends. So it'd be a 55-second burn on the inside and a 30-second burn on the barrel heads. Goes into the barrel at 120 proof and then gets blended and cut down to 80 proof. They do offer a cask strength. I haven't seen that anywhere. And soon, according to the website, they're going to be coming out with a rye. And if it's as good as other MGP ryes, I'm going to be looking for that one. I'd love it to be bottled in bond, but that's just me. Okay. They say that the corn adds sweetness and fruit notes, the rye adds spice and floral notes, the wheat adds bready softness, and the barley rounds out the flavor with a nutty and caramel note. Again, I'm guessing this is MGP, Ross Squibb. Its home base is Arkansas. But whose is it? Who came up with this idea? Well, It's another celebrity whiskey born from the TV series The Vampire Diaries. The two actors on there, they would drink on the end of the show. Every show, they would drink and talk about what they had just done. And I know Hollywood well enough to know that most of the time it probably wasn't real bourbon, but sometimes it might have actually been real bourbon, because why not? Especially 80 proof, why not? So they had started to do that on the show, and they had started to enjoy that little thing. And about 2 years after the show ended, they got together and decided they were going to start their own whiskey company. And they went and they decided they were going to do a 4-grain mash bill. And here it is, Brothers Bond. Who are the brothers? Well, one brother is Ian Somerhalder, who's also known as the first key cast member on the TV show Lost to die. He played Boone. And her sister was the hottie that was pregnant. I think she ended up dying too. Anyway, her name was, her real name I think was Maggie. Anyway, maybe her fictional character name was Maggie. Anyway, he was Boone, and he didn't live to act on into season 2 as he climbed aboard a crashed airplane which slid off a cliff with him inside. Splat. No more Boone. The other brother is Paul Wesley, who's probably best known for Vampire Diaries, but his most recent work is that of yet another incarnation of James T. Kirk on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Okay, that's on Paramount Network. So let's get real for a second. The bourbon is 80 proof. It's the lowest proof available and allowable to be able to be called bourbon. So, okay, just going to say it. These are two very good looking actors, okay? The photos on the website are sure to make the target market swoon. I said it. And you know what? Good. More and more women set the wine bottle down and trade that 8 to 10% or 12% alcohol by volume to 40% alcohol by volume and up. I like that they're targeting ladies and working on growing their taste for bourbon. So how many guys have told me, my wife says I can't buy anymore until I finish what I have? Well, I want to hear a lady say, we're not going to buy anymore until we finish what we have, right? That would be all right. Millennials are big into this brand too. That's the demographic for the Vampire Diaries and for these two actors. So the gent who recommended it to me was older than me, so I take the millennial thing with a grain of malt. Okay. Anyway, the reviews I saw were very few. They were generally regurgitations of that which is on the website, so if you want to know more about it, just go to the website. The more authentic ones were short to the point and didn't have much commentary. They didn't seem very whelmed about Brothers Bond, so I'm going to see what my honest review is of that. So I am also going to switch and go over to Beautiful Bourbon on here and make sure I'm not missing anything. Alright, there we go. Yeah, Larry's with us, and Kevin and Tom. Okay. I was going to not be able to see that. So, and there we go, my volume is working. Good. All right, let's do this. Kevin has already told me, by the way, that I'm on my own on this one. About a $35 bottle for an 80 proof pour. I do tend to be a little bit critical of that. There are Tin Cup is one of those. Another one's Basil Hayden. These are 80 proof bottles, and they're too expensive, especially Basil Hayden. Just too expensive for what you're getting for the price. $35. That's a little bit up there, but again, they're trying to grow a brand, and these two handsome young men are trying to give it a little bit of credence, and it's a 4-grain. So, there's a little bit of value there, right? It's not just 3 grain for $35. It's less than $10 per grain. How's that, okay? We're not looking at percentages. We're just looking at even Stevens. All right. If I didn't know better, I'd say this wasn't aged 4 years. I'd say this is young by the nose. It's got some nice vanillas coming out, some cinnamon. Definitely a floral honey. There's clover honey, and then there's a floral honey. And the floral honey is a little harder to get, a little more expensive, but if you've tried it, it's completely different than clover honey. Completely different flavor. Very floral. Very nice, actually. Getting little dates. There is something botanical about this. It's got a slight floral note. I can't tell you what it is. The first thing that comes to mind is rose petal, and that just sounds weird. Yeah, it's not rose petal. Maybe honeysuckle? Honeysuckle. Sounds reasonable. I did not write down any flavor profiles because there really weren't very many to find. There was their website and there was one other guy and he just seemed pretentious, so I didn't even write it down. I have no idea. We're just going to do it on our own. All right. Alrighty. For an 80 proof pour, that is a little bit heavy on the ethanol. That actually surprised me. That there was enough bloom, enough burn in the back of my throat to surprise me for an 80 proof pour. Of an 80 proof pour, this is not very smooth. It's definitely got a bite to it. Now that that surprise is past me, let's move on. I like the mouthfeel. And again, for an 80 proof, it's got a lot of character. It's again, I would never guess this at 80 proof. Now, that being said, I haven't had much to drink over the last few weeks, so it could just be me slowly but surely diving back into the whiskey pool. I mean, anybody else that's been drinking every night might go, yeah, nothing. But I haven't been drinking, and what I have been drinking has been 80 proof, or in the case of Crown Peach last week, 70 proof. I'm not getting a lot of flavor. I'm getting the ethanol on the palate and not much else. The nose was a surprise. That honeysuckle, that vanilla, all that stuff came out and said hi. On the palate, ethanol. Let's go forward again. I want to give this its due because the one review that I did see, although it was ostentatious and overly written, it was complimentary. And the people who have had this didn't say they hated it. I don't hate it. I'm not finding much flavor. So we're going to keep looking. Not selling me. I'm passing hard AF. I'm trying to give it my best shot here, Kevin. I'm trying to at least find something that's. I mean, just the mouthfeel is pleasant. Now, I know that's not enough. That's not enough. All right, let's do it again. All right. Took a larger swig to get some flavor, but really a nice cinnamon, a nice honeysuckle again. There's some honey in it. Again, that floral honey. Once you get past the ethanol, and it takes a few swigs of it to get past the ethanol, it isn't too bad. Can I recommend it? No. Do I hate it? No. It just doesn't seem to have much flavor. I mean, I will tell you this. Where Basil Hayden fails to me is there is absolutely nothing on the front. It saves everything for way back in the back of your throat. When you finally swallow it, that's when you get flavor, and that's when you get burn, you get everything else. This one has got more than that going on for less money. The burn is up in your mouth where it ought to be, not back in your throat. There is some flavor up in the mouth, not back in the back of your throat like Basil Hayden. So it definitely has it beat there. The legs are nice. The legs are still there. That finish is hanging on. I've got it up in my sinuses a little bit, which I actually kind of like. It's still rotating there inside. It's actually, the legs are kind of nice. Roger's watching. Drinking old granddad tonight, not observing sober October with you. That's fine. That's fine. I wouldn't expect everybody to do that. I probably needed to do that. I was starting to go with high proof pours way too often, and I just needed to kind of back off a little bit. Like I said, I think my blood pressure's gone down. It's been good. I'm hoping to maybe even lose a couple pounds this month. If they say that bourbon packs it on, not as much as beer, but they say bourbon packs it on. So, it's not going to kill me to break the addiction for a month. All right, let's go back to it, and then we'll add some water. Now, this is another one of those two that this is brand new crack. So if I come back to this in 2 weeks or a month, it may change character completely. We'll see. I was reading today the Elijah Craig barrel proofs came out this week, which is always something to celebrate. And somebody had said they cracked it and they was like, "Oh, this is delicious." Well, somebody said, "Give it a month. Put the cork in it, let it sit for a month, and then do it again." And there is definitely some credence to that. I've been finding that more and more, that if I come back to a bottle, Bernheim was one of those, the 51% wheat whiskey. That was delicious when I came back to it. There's a bunch of those over there I got to come back to. I keep saying I'm gonna, and I haven't done it. So I will do that. All right. I got people talking and I'm missing it. Well, now you got to try it on ice. No, I'm not going to try it on ice. I'm going to put water on it. I didn't even get the ice out. I didn't even get it out. So to get it, I'd have to get up, and I don't want to. All right. All right. There is a nice corn sweetness to it. The rye spice does come out. Again, it's an 80 proof pour. 4-year age. I would have to bet. The flavors on this are not bad. Once you get past the ethanol and you find some flavor, it's not bad. I would wonder, really, honestly, what the cask strength would taste like. There's other ones that are like this. Basil Hayden, not so much, but tin cup. I would love to try a cask strength tin cup. I think that there would be something to that. I'd like to try a cask strength lead slingers. I think that would be really good. There's some out there that have a decent, just flat lazy, because I'm not getting up to get the ice. There's some with a decent flavor profile that just, it's kind of like on that movie Grease. Give me more, give me more. Actually, it's tell me more, but give me more, right? This is one of those that I'm thinking, I want to taste it out of the barrel. I want to taste that barrel proof. Give me more. Because there's something just enough that is interesting to me that isn't me going, no. There's been several, no, but this one is not a no. This one is not a ooh, but it's not a no. Once you get past the ethanol, takes 2 or 3 swigs, start to get some flavor, and that flavor isn't bad. Really, it's kind of pleasant. A little bit of butterscotch. The problem is getting past the ethanol. Other people wouldn't be as patient as I am, because I really want to get to the root of what the spirit is offering. So I don't just take a sip and go, no. I mean, even the ones I don't like, I've had several sips of. Just lazy. I'd have to get up and get it. I don't even have a glass down here. Glasses are over there too. Nothing that can fit an ice sphere in. Sorry, Kevin. You're not going to buy this anyway. What do you care? All right, one more. Okay, so strangely enough, the more I'm drinking this, the more I'm liking this. That last dram was very sweet. Again, that corn sweetness coming out. You know what cuts through the ethanol? Ice. Well, let's see if water does it first, Kevin, okay? Can I try the water first? That's funny. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad we're together on the Thursday thing, because I know I was on Wednesdays for a while and that didn't work for you, and there were a lot of Thursdays that you couldn't be here, so I'm glad you're back to give me a hard time. That's about a milliliter of water. Not that an 80 proofer needs any water put on it, but just for the heck of it, let's try it out. This scored a 96 at Cigar and Spirits, and a 93 at Tasting Ground? Tasting Panel. All right, get this good and swished in there. What I'm hoping that'll do is knock down the ethanol without killing everything. Because if I put it on ice, it's going to mute the flavors. All right. It takes a second to get the flavor back. I muted it too much. I put too much water on it. The ethanol burn's gone, but so's a lot of the flavor. I'm back to not being able to really taste anything. I don't get that ethanol burn like I did, but I'm not getting really any flavors out of it. Maybe some oak from that number 4 char. The color, you'd think with a 4-year age and a number 4 char, this would be just slightly darker. Maybe that's because of the proofing. I bet if that were barrel strength, it would be darker. Right? Hardly complex, but it does have the 4 grain is allowing it to have some different style flavors. Again, there's some floral coming in. Honeysuckle, that's some of the floral. Honey, vanilla, cinnamon, oak. This would really be good as a barrel proof pour, I think. But as an 80 proof pour, it's not horrible. Is this one that I would recommend to somebody? No. Is it one that I'd recommend to a beginning drinker? No, because the ethanol is too hot. Excuse me, for an 80 proofer, I think that those first 2 sips would turn off somebody that wanted to get into bourbon, because there's more ethanol than there is flavor at first. Then you get into it a little bit, and the flavors are still somewhat subdued, but they are there, and they're not bad. They're pleasant once you find them. It just takes a couple of minutes to find them. Would I buy this again? If I have a choice of this and something else, probably something else. I wouldn't, if this was the only thing in the 80 proof line that was left, if there wasn't any Beam, there wasn't any Turkey, there wasn't any Evan Williams, or there wasn't any Ezra Brooks 90, if there wasn't anything like that, the thing that I would look at next is it worth the money? Is the $35, $38 worth the money for this pour, for an 80 proof that really struggles to find itself? That would be the next factor. What else is there? What else is there for a lower price, even if it's a higher proof? Again, looking at the Ezra Brooks, the 90, it's still thin on the mouthfeel, but it's got a lot more flavor than this. Although I like the mouthfeel on this better than the 90 proof Ezra Brooks. Now, you get to the 99 proof Ezra Brooks, that's completely different. Jim Beam has got a better flavor profile, so does the 81 proof Wild Turkey. But this has got more bite. So, and it's got a higher price. And that's what it boils down to. Is this one I'm going to recommend? No. The photo, though, let me go back to the photo real quick, because the photo's kind of cool. I talked about it a little bit on the introduction to the show, but this is Lock 1. I think it's been relocated, but this is Lock 1 of the Miami Erie Canal. It finished being built in, I want to say, 1845, about 5 years before trains, 1849 maybe, about a year before trains started to be used more prevalently, steam engines. And it was only in operation. I mean, the amount of work that took to create the lock system and hundreds and hundreds of miles of canal and all the feeder systems like the lakes that fed into the Miami and Erie Canal, the amount of years it took and the $8 million at the time before the turn of the century to create all this stuff, that was a lot of work to only use it until the 1906, 1907, something like that. And then it was only used for really heavy stuff because it was still cheaper than rail at that point. But then in 1913, there was a massive flood that wiped out the infrastructure of the canal. And after 1913, it just wasn't used anymore. Flash forward 40 years, and what used to be the canal, they built interstates on top of. So there are still remnants of the canal. Most of it's just streams that you fish through or tourist attractions like this. But for the most part, the canal is gone. I knew I was going someplace today that had that lock, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to stop and I'm going to take a picture of Brothers Bond at that lock just because it's really cool looking. Now, what you don't see in the photo, let me just toss it out there. What you don't see in the photo is all the poop on that beam. There was poop all over that beam to the right of the bottle. I imagine some sort of bird. I don't think it was a raccoon, although it's possible. So a little bit of Photoshop love and the poop is gone. Yay, no poop. Okay. All right. So that was Brothers Bond. It's not terrible, but it's not one I'm going to recommend to you. Let's get into what we're going to do next week. This was recommended to me by a employee at a liquor store. I went in there looking for, again, that Four Roses OHLQ pick for 2022, and it was not there. So he said, well, have you tried this one? Because I told him it was Sober October, that I'm doing low proof pours on Thursday. And he said, have you tried this one? And I said, I have not. This is Jesse James, American Outlaw Bourbon Whiskey. This show is all about new things. Tonight was Bourbcast 120. Kermit laugh. Ah! Kermit cheer. 120 is tonight. So, we've done 119 different bourbons. We have only repeated one by accident. I repeated the Russell's Reserve 10-year, not knowing I had done it before, and I did it again. Now, we have tasted bottles more than once, like the Smoke Wagon we tasted more than once, the... there's been a couple of them that we tasted more than once, but that has been part of something else. We are doing as best we can to have a new pour every week, and this is a new pour. I've not had this. It was recommended. They said if you're looking for an 80 proof pour, this one's pretty good. We're going to find that out next week right here on Beautiful Bourbon. The YouTube stuff is caught up other than tonight, so if you want to go there and subscribe and hit the bell thingy and like it, I guess that helps with algorithms too, so do that. We are getting a nice amount of traffic on there. I'm pretty pleased. Not as much as we do on Facebook, but we're doing all right on YouTube. And of course, the Instagram stuff is starting to wane because it's boring. Instagram is boring. But I take some nice photos, and that's where this whole thing started, was the photography. So I'll keep doing my photography and putting it up on the Instagram page, which is at Beautiful Bourbon, and of course Facebook right here. And that's all we are at right now. I've tried a couple other things, and they were boring. So as new things come up that I think are something that I'm interested in, then we'll look into it. TikTok is not one of those things. I'm not doing TikTok. It's just too much. No, thank you. But where we are is good for now, and we'll just see where it takes us. We will see you again next week. We're going to do Jesse James next week. This week, of course, was Brothers Bond. Not awful, but not great. Hopefully this will do better. And then I've got another one coming up the week after that. Actually, the week after that, we're going to get into the Basil Hayden. I've already tried the regular Basil Hayden, and evidently I've already tried the toast, and I think they were part of another Bourbcast for beginning bourbons. We're going to try these both in 2 weeks, just to give them a fair tasting on their own. Some people really like the toast. Okay. That's a little precursor of what you're going to get. But this week was Brothers Bond. Next week, Jesse James. See if I'm missing anything. I don't think I am. I'm not. And we're not going to do ice. Well, we might do ice next week. I'll have to play it by ear. It's 80 proof. This is 80 proof? This is 80 proof. So I'll have to play it by ear. So thanks again for hanging out with me on a Thursday. I will talk to you again next week. And thanks a lot for coming out. You guys have a great Thursday and a great rest of your week.